Carl Tepper, Ken Corbin, and we will go to Michael Ward. Michael, bumper sticker version. That means a really short version. Give me the city first. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I wanted to remind people that the only public hearing on the tax rate and the budget where you don't have the limitations of a 3-minute cutoff is in the morning at 8 o'clock. Not the best time for most folks, but if people are upset, they really need to go, and if they can't go for some reason, then they need to get in touch with
Michael. I feel like the economy is fairly good right now. People are working, unemployment's low. Like they're going to go for it while the economy's good, and they're going to give themselves a little bump all across the board to get some things done that they feel they needed to do. Do you feel the same way?
Well, there's a lot of things that they're doing right, but they're also increasing the budget, the total budget, to $818 million. It's hard for me to even say, which is $10.5 million over what it was a year ago. So
what was
a lot of things in there.
Did you identify the biggest increase? What's the biggest increase? Payroll?
Well, that's going to be a pretty hefty one, and they don't consider a COLA an increase. They're saying that if you just stick with the CPI, that's staying flat. But a lot of us haven't had an increase like that, and it seems
it doesn't work that way in
pretty
the private
much year
sector.
after year. So the other part of it is they're also saying that it's a penny tax rate increase, but they're not factoring in almost another cent's worth over the effective tax rate for appraisal creep and growth. So it's really a 2-cent increase, and then they never like to basically look at the sales tax.
But something's not adding up.
Cents plus.
Michael, with the increase, we've got sales taxes creeping up, and
right.
Now we've got the property taxes. What are they spending all the extra money on? Have you identified that?
Well, it's across the board pretty much, but what I'm also pitching a lot or talking to different council members about is that economic development between the 8-cent sales tax, which is $6.2 million, and the market Lubbock part that we voted out 27 years ago almost, is $3.8 million. They're hitting $10 million, and that is just the size that we are now and the low unemployment. I think you've got to rethink some of these uses. And by the way, on you all were talking about the arena, and I'm waiting to see the details. But there was a.
Why would you need to see any details? We just voted. The voters voted to get rid of a dirt arena.
I know.
What details do you need? We got rid of one. I'm still confused on this.
Well,
they told everyone we didn't need a dirt arena. We didn't want it. We don't want to maintain it. It's not being used. Why would I vote in another dirt arena?
There was a little more to that. If they did any remodeling at all on that building, it was going to trigger huge amounts of ADA compliance and stuff. But that's too long to get into. But what I've been urging this steering committee that's looking at the dirt arena to go out and raise enough private money to not need this. We actually had a similar venue tax election in May of 2001. I finally found my records on that, and it was 3 parts, but it was turned down by average of 57%. So that they're going to have a steep hill to climb, basically, to get people buying into doing this again. It was the same exact thing, that 2 cents venue tax and 5% rental car tax. So.
And Michael, this is Ken Corbin.
Yeah.
We've not had the discussion. We've got 4 cents on the hot tax left that we could use in this area. We've not asked the question, is this limited use rodeo arena, is it the best use of what we have left? At some point in the next 10 years, we're going to have the need to remodel and expand the Civic Center.
That's already in the pipeline. They haven't talked too much about it, but they're having studies on it right now, which is going to be another.
But the hot tax could be used for that as opposed to a CO bond.
Right.
And if we're going to do some of that, that would generate a lot more money than any rodeo arena ever could for Lubbock. And so we haven't had that discussion as a community yet. I'm not advocating for that.
No,
I'm just saying
everything's always sort of compartmented like that.
We haven't had that discussion. And honestly, with the way that conventions have been going in Lubbock, the number of hotels and restaurants, an expanded civic center would do a whole lot more for this community than a rodeo arena.
I always thought the cities control the hotel occupancy tax. How did
they always
end up with the county?
I guess the county has never used any of it.
Well, the city's part of the county, so.
But does the state apportion some of it for use for the counties and some of it for use for the cities?
I think
or who gets
it's just the total in your whole area. That's another thing I did not know, that the county was able to do that.
I don't remember ever seeing a county controlling
the
hotel occupancy
city's already
tax.
looking at a convention center hotel, which will trigger expansion and complete redoing of the civic center to call it a convention center. So we do need to have this overall discussion, but it's always rolled out one little piece at a time where the public really doesn't have much say. But of our entire debt, only a little less than $118 million of it was ever approved in bond elections from 99, 2004, and 2009. The rest of it, of course, lots and lots of it is the utility debt, and that's the other factor on how much revenue the city has. The hidden taxes on our utility bills is going up to well over $37 million this year.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. We're at the break, and there's a lot of unanswered questions out there. I'm still confused about why somebody's trying to sell me a dirt arena. We just voted to get rid of one. This is Carl Tepper and Ken Corbin. We will be talking about we got 2 more minutes? I thought I heard some music bleeding through. Jody.
No, you didn't either.
Yeah. No, that was just me imagining music.
Carl,
wishing for music to bleed.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. It's a rodeo arena. They're trying to sell it as something more, but that's.
But I had one. I had a rodeo arena.
Most of the people behind it pushing it, they want it to be the rodeo arena. And hey, I've loved the ABC Rodeo. I've taken my kids there. I've gone there, and it's a great public event, and they do good work. The people that put it on do good work with the money they raise. But as a community, should we spend $40 million on it out of the hot tax when we might need that money for something else?
And to be fair, I'm assuming they want to do. I think they've really annoyed the fair people, the South Plains fair people, but they want a new center to do, the swine shows and the cattle shows and the horse shows and so there doesn't seem to be much coordination between some of the available facilities that maybe could just be updated, which I felt that way about the old arena, by the way, and having a whole new arena with all the stables and pens and everything that you need.
Well, and you look at LISD and what they're
wanting
to do
with
the ag stuff. There is no communication, and where's tech and all
folks,
of this?
LASD has a bond that they're going to be introducing to you, a really high dollar one, where now there's some neat things in it. One is the ag program and kind of a Byron Martin Center for Agriculture and Ranching and Farming, which I think is a great idea. But of course, it's going to be, it's going to be one big package with a bunch of stuff you might not want. So that's kind of a little trick they do to get you to vote for the whole thing. And so I always tend to vote no. But
well, when it's all bundled like that, I tend to also. I think there's, like I said, there's some things that are needed, but there's some things that aren't. And
it's for the kids, everyone. You're going to say it's security. We got to harden our schools. It's for the kids. You can't really harden schools.
We got plenty of time to discuss
a kid with a badge or a
LSD.
student there is going to get it anyway. All right, this is Carl Tepper and Ken Corbin, and this is Chad Hasty Show. Carl Tepper and Ken Corbin sitting in for Chad Hasty. We've got some callers. People want to talk about the arena. Let's start with line one. Matthew, what's on your mind?
Well, it's thank you for taking my call. It seems to me that Texas Tech, if they really want to if Lubbock area wants a dirt arena, that Texas Tech would be the smarter option in that they have a polo club. They're more set for equestrian type work, and they have the land to do this.
Well, I agree with you on that. I think that tech should be a part of whatever solution that we have for a dirt arena, and I'm not sure why they're not a part of it. I don't know if all the stuff with Chancellor Duncan has anything to do with tech not stepping up, being a part of it. I doubt it, but I think that you're correct. And, tech would be.
Why would you guys think tech is going to be a part of this? Texas Tech wanted us to give away an arena we already had.
Well, they wanted the land, is what they wanted. But I mean, they have a polo club. They have the Master Rider. They have more of a vested interest in equestrian situation than
Matt. They've got an arena where the horse is stabled, and they're not going to let you use it. That's just it.
Right.
Thanks, Matthew.
And you look as far as equestrian stuff.
You're not going to find any solutions at Texas Tech, I promise you. They just talked you into getting rid of the arena you already had.
And equestrian type arenas have traditionally not done well. I mean, George Strait just closed his down in San Antonio.
Let's go to line 2. Jason, what's your opinion on this arena thing?
Well, I think that first of all, they need to be straight up with what their whole goal is.
Too late. You already voted to get rid of the arena. There's no more straight up.
Well, they got rid of an arena that was very not useful if you're going to go into the equestrian business. You take a city like Abilene, which is half the size of Lubbock, just less than a year ago voted for a $50 million bond to expand their equestrian stuff, and they're booked out 40 to 50 weeks a year with different types of equestrian, horse, and sheep, and all, different events out there. If that's what they're going to do with it, and it could be a profitable thing, I don't see there being a big issue. If they're not, if they're not being straight up with what their whole thing is, but the road arenas they had no places for animals around there. You're not going to put them out on the baseball field to graze or in the Jones Stadium to exercise or anything else. So that dirt arena was really a useless deal. I'm not necessarily for it. I'm just saying if they would tell us what their big plan is, maybe people would understand it.
Well, Jason, if Abilene was doing so well with theirs, keeping it booked that many weeks out of the year, why do they need a $50 million bond to do it? Why didn't the private sector do it?
They did an expansion on it, on the whole coliseum revamp.
So the same thing. Same thing.
Right. And it was actually one of our local companies here that did it. Lee Lewis Construction is the one that's actually building it. They just completed phase 1. I travel West Texas a lot for my job, and I mean it's an incredible facility.
I will say, hold on a second. I will say one thing is that I see the horse trailers heading down to Abilene like every weekend, a lot of them. But, is there room enough for, maybe that's just Abilene's thing, or is there going to be room enough for 2 of us on the block now?
Who knows? I think that, you got enough of these guys that like to do the opens and the rodeo-style events every weekend, the weekend warriors. I'm sure that they would love to go from Abilene to Lubbock to Amarillo, but they go from Abilene down south. I know Taylor has a big one. Somewhere other down around Austin has another big facility like that. So those guys, they spend a lot of money in hotel rooms, eating out and all that stuff because some people like to fish, some guys like to go to the rodeo and golf road.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you. I'm going to argue about one thing there. They've got those trailers, which I really want one. They have the apartments inside the trailers, so they really just show up to the event. They hook them up and they plug them in.
If it was really a profitable venture, then Hockley County wouldn't have built the Mallet Center with public money. They wouldn't have done public money down in Abilene. There wouldn't be public money being spent in Amarillo. And I just think that Lubbock, we don't have to be a Me Too, number one. And if all these other facilities are getting a lot of that, what are we going to do? Just basically split the pot? I don't know. I think there's better use of our money in Lubbock.
He's right about one thing. The current arena, which I still didn't want to get rid of, did not have the pens and things that you need.
Well, no, that wasn't its main use.
And I always wondered if the parking lots could be set up a little better to still be the parking lots during football games, but they could be rearranged in dirt or something to have the pens for the animals. It just didn't seem like there was enough room over there, or Texas Tech wasn't going to give in because they've always wanted that arena anyway, and we were between a rock and a hard place. But that doesn't mean I have to turn around and buy a whole new arena. It didn't work. We got rid of it. Okay, y'all voted. I'm going to accept that. But it doesn't mean I have to go buy another one.
Well, I'd like to see the people that are doing this, hopefully it fails, and then come back, have most of the money raised privately, and if there has to be, say a half cent on the hot tax at some point to finish it off, then I think that would be a lot more palatable if 3/4 of the money was raised privately.
I'd love to raise it privately, but I mean, the Buddy Holly Event Center has just sucked all the air out of the room for that type of stuff, probably for the next 20 years. And they've done a fantastic job with that. I just see all that donor base overlapping, and I don't see us getting there. So, hey, the people didn't want a dirt arena. They like the rodeo once a year, but it's hard to justify a $40 million arena for 3 days a year when we had the ABC rodeo. They're just going to have to find another fundraiser or head down the post or up to Levelland or something and see if people will head out there. Do you want to do Texas Tech now? And
I guess so. If we hadn't made enough people mad already, we can continue on.
Well, so you had some updates on the governor and
not necessarily that. You wanted me to come in and and you had a couple things you were going to want to talk about on that, and I think that there's.
Well, it's just now that some of the dust is settling. Still very annoyed about Bob Duncan leaving. There's still a lot of questions about who the next chancellor is going to be. There's a lot of Jody Arrington talk out there. Funny thing is, I think he could do the job, do a great job. I wonder if Bob Duncan should apply for it and throw his name in again and see if he would get it. I thought we had the best chancellor for our point in time in history.
I think Duncan was the right man at the right time, considering following up. It would have been almost impossible for nearly anybody else to follow Chancellor Hance, and Bob Duncan did a great job of it.
Well, I've got Rick Francis is the guy he's really been pushing for the dental school down in the El Paso area.
I want to say something. Rick Francis, He served enough time on the Board of Regents. He doesn't need to be on there.
He's done enough damage, you think?
I wouldn't say damage. Okay. He's done. He doesn't need 6 more years on there. And we need someone from Lubbock. Say, thank you, Mr. Francis. Your dental school's well on the way. Tech's not going to give up on the debts on the dental school, and I think that. Well,
I think Rick Francis was trying to kill the vet school for favor of his dental school.
Well,
Texas
Tech
is still shooting it out from under him, because here's an article in the Dallas Morning News. Was this yesterday or the day before? An article from a dentist writing, concerned dentists of Texas.
Well, those two dentists that wrote that are affiliated with the Texas A&M Dental School.
Well, they fired the chancellor. They're trying to kill the vet school, and he still didn't win any favors from the A&M
as Chad
people.
Hasty says, there's an all-out war on Texas Tech. I think that A&M and then UT to a lesser extent, and some other people around the state think Texas Tech has gotten too big, too fast, and Tech's full of themselves, thinking that Texas Tech doesn't know their place.
This has become a good example of The Sopranos played out in real life, where they took out one of our guys. They took out Bob Duncan, and I think they were trying to give in on something so they can keep moving forward with their dental school. And they got nothing in the end because they showed weakness. And now A&M's trying to completely smother anything Tech was trying to do to expand. And so way to go, Rick Francis and Board of Regents. You did a horrible job. Especially you 5 who voted to fire our guy. So they took out one of our guys. That means we have to take out one of theirs, not physically, but I think Texas Tech needs to respond in some way. You need to get that vet school and that dentist school going. I think Rick Francis would be happy with that. But as you can see, Mr. Francis, you didn't do yourself any favor here by trying to placate what's A&M because you're still not getting your way. They're still after your dental school now.
And the thing about Francis raises a whole lot of different questions. And you look at all the money that he's given the governor. He's been there 16 years already, and is that the number that I think that's been thrown out there. He doesn't need another 6-year appointment, and I don't know if there needs to be term limits for Regents, but I think definitely, for this area, we need at least 2.
I don't know who he is, and I don't care. I think it's time to move on to somebody else. We have another call on the arena, Jody. Let's go ahead and sorry, Ken, let's see. John on line 1. John, you had a comment about the arena as well?
Yeah, Carl. as far as I know, I don't think you did tour it anytime lately. My best friend was running that, and he was the one doing the tours for all the city council people and all this other stuff. That thing is a disaster.
Well, when you don't spend
no
the money,
keeping it.
When you
no, it's much more than that.
Oh, there was a lot of money over the years that is earmarked for both those facilities that didn't.
Yeah, and it got moved over to the Civic Center.
No, not just once, but several times, whether it be in the city budgets or bonds, and especially on that auditorium, especially that proscenium area was one of the best in the country, because the Cameron McIntosh people, when they were last here with Katz and Miss Saigon, I've talked to them because Celebrity Attractions is one of my clients, and asked them what they thought about it. Said you need a better dressing room area, but said this stage. Yeah. He said this stage, this proscenium area,
the entire facility.
John, you don't know what you're talking about. The facility was being. Oh, I just cut him off by accident. Sorry, John. The facility was being used. How bad could it be? Texas Tech was supplying the chilled air. You know what a big deal that is?
And that stage, they said that stage is one of the top 30 in the country. We're talking people that do things on Broadway and all over the country. Said it's one of the top 30 stages. Now, I didn't say top 30 facilities, one of the top 30 stages. And if it was so bad, why is Robert Plant, the former lead singer of Led Zeppelin, who's played all over the world,
shows there?
He's going to be there on the 27th of September.
They're still having shows there.
So it's not that bad.
It's being used. So just fix the stuff that's broken. All right, this is Carl. Sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't mind getting criticized, but I didn't mean to cut you off there, so we can have a back and forth. Carl Tepper and Ken Corbin. This is the Chad Hasty Show. All right, this is Carl Tepper, Ken Corbin. I'm going to stop inviting you in here, Ken. You get me all fired up. And John, you too. John, I really did not mean. I was like, I had my hand hovering over the button. Man, that button's quick.
Well,
but
I don't know. We've got just a few minutes left, and we hadn't really talked about anything that you told me. So come here. I want you to talk about this. Carl wanted somebody else to take a bullet on a couple of issues. I think
I have to. We didn't even get into that. We're about to go off the air, but we didn't even get into what the county commissioners are doing and cutting the sheriff's budget. I guess do they care about the people at all? I have to wonder. With the excuses I've called, have they ever cared about the people or just their own elected positions?
Okay. First off, if it was actually something that wasn't vindictive, they would have cut their pay. They would have cut they'd have cut the travel budget of all the elected officials in the courthouse. Because I guarantee you go back and look at that travel budget on commissioners. Outrageous.
If it's the effective rate, means the sheriff should have gotten the same budget he got last year, and maybe even a little more with increasing sales tax.
And then the Texas Association of Counties, cancel that membership. There's a whole lot of things. I guarantee you put me in front of that budget, I could have found the money to do that. But no, it was vindictive, and they wanted to make a point to show, well, you're going to have to raise taxes next year, basically because we stuck it to you. That's basically what happened, and I defy any one of them to call me and tell me otherwise.
You and I both saw we both saw Commissioner McKay last week in an event, and it was just inappropriate at the event to kind of jump on him about it. But I would have, I don't know, I would have liked to have talked to him about it. Come on, Commissioner, what's going on? Really,
he needs to come on with Chad, and talk about it, because hey, he might run again in 2 years, and I think it's. He needs to explain.
And I have to wonder if he's given up.
Not just explain, but he needs to convince people what they did was the right thing. Which
I'm a little suspicious that because of these votes and these cuts, and it just seems it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and it seems like a vendetta against the guys who are coming in, who beat some of their friends. That it's disappointing. I'd like to see them put the public above their own self-interest and vendettas about elections, and it would really reflect well on them to leave the county in as good a shape as they found it. And I think they're really making some tactical errors and some really questionable decisions on this county budget.
I can't disagree with you on that statement.
All right, is that music, Jody? What are you doing? No, I can't. I swear I hear music.
In a minute, though.
I hear music bleeding through.
Well, it's one of those things. What we ought to do is start calling it. since they put that on the ballot for the rodeo arena, we need to call it the Patty Jones Memorial Rodeo Arena.
Patty Jones Memorial Rodeo Arena.
I think that might help us defeat it.
I just have to say it's questionable. And Bill talked to I think some of the incoming county commissioner guys. I don't know what they said, but they said that they had a discussion about it, and Bill was a little defensive in saying, "Look, this has been in the works for a while." So I think Chad should have him on and ask the questions I'd like to know. I'm sure that I think the sheriff is very stressed about it, and I know public safety is tantamount. I mean, we have the cartels here; they're dealing a lot of drugs. We've got a lot of break-ins and things, and public safety comes first. Well, Ken, thank you very much. Jody, thank you, and Chad, I appreciate it. I think we've got. Is Matt Crow tomorrow? No, I think we've got Cole Shooter tomorrow.
Cole Shooter
did a great job. Good luck, Cole. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. PolitiFaith, Sunday, 12 to 1. Bye-bye now.